indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Sherry, if you want to do the roll call.
Chairman Conley,
He's excused.
Rebecca Anderson,
Here.
John Coltis,
Here.
Anthony Borski,
Here.
Joseph Keith,
Here.
Stanley J. Kiza,
He has resigned his position, and we'll get into that in a minute.
and Lawrence Korzinski.
Here. Good evening, everybody. This is a meeting of the Planning Board. I'd like to tell you that Neil Conley called me this afternoon and told me that he had tested positive for COVID, so obviously he couldn't be at the meeting. He also wanted to let everybody know that this is the first meeting he's missed in over 14 years, and he's attended and chaired almost 300 meetings. So it's a pretty good record. COVID was the only thing that stopped him.
Put it on the list, right?
The other thing is he wanted me to let you know that Stanley Kiza has resigned his position on the board because of work conflicts. He also has COVID, and that's why he hasn't been at the last two meetings, but he did resign this week, so there would be an opening on the board that would be filled at some point in the future. So let's address the minutes from the May 4th, 22 meeting. Everybody could take a look at them. Very good job, Sherry. Complicated meeting. Does anybody have any comments, corrections to the minutes?
No.
Somebody like to offer a motion to accept?
Motion.
John? Second?
I'll second.
Tony? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. The communication list is in front of you, dated May 18. The only thing that the chair pointed out was the May 5/18/11, the letter from Matt regarding Bradley Street, that was on the agenda but taken off the agenda because we still need to hear from Mr. Malcolm at Hodson Ross regarding the issues we raised the last time, so that's not on the agenda. And also the 5/18/05, the letter from Lisa in the town attorney's office requesting that no approval be given on the first agenda item for the reasons stated. Do you want to just repeat what you said before, Emily, about this issue with zoning board and seeker?
Sure, so once the planning board recommends a negative declaration, the town board then needs to adopt that negative declaration, and then the zoning board can vote on issues in front of them, and then it can come back to the planning board to recommend approval of the project. So it was adopted by, the neg deck was adopted by the town on Monday, was it May 16th? And the zoning board meets again June 9th, I think it is. So at our June 15th meeting, the project can come back here for site plan.
So the zoning board didn't have the approval of the seeker by the town at the time they did their hearing?
Correct, the zoning
Okay.
board, yeah, made their decision before the town board had adopted the negative declaration.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about that or any of the matters on the communication list? Okay.
As a point of communication, Chair, if you don't mind, I can hand out the hard copies that were emailed earlier today.
Oh, that'd be great.
Great, thanks.
With embarrassment and a little bit of regret that it's been so late.
Thank you.
My apologies for it going out so late.
It happens.
That's all right.
Not supposed to.
Thanks. We all saw it.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Should we move over agenda item 1 until Mr. James comes in? Matt said he was planning on appearing, right, Matt?
My understanding that you were going to review and that he would be present.
Okay. Should we move on to agenda 2 then? The Project 3211 Warehouse Addition, Walden Avenue. Anybody present on that one? Waldemar Blazak, you know him, Matt?
I have not personally met him, but we sat a couple of times with his attorney to review the documents for submittal.
And we have the documents,
We do have the documents.
yeah. What's your pleasure here? Do we sit tight for a little while, or?
Until,
I don't think we can really pass on it with somebody appearing, can we? It's a new project. We have no background on it, really, other than what's in front of us.
I had a question on the seeker form. He indicated no approval needed from any agency or body. That's not correct.
Of the town board,
Yeah, town board, planning board,
planning board.
he's got no for everything.
Type 2 action.
perhaps,
It's a type 2 action, so it's really not fair. It's a 1,000 square foot addition onto an existing commercial structure. The project was halted for working without the building permit, without the approvals, without, and that's kind of been, I shouldn't put that in the comments. But at any rate, they were able to provide the information that they need to be present.
And what was the situation with the trenching activities that complained of?
That came about yesterday at some point, and again, in pretty similar fashion, work began without a design, without a plan, they were just cleaning, and when backhoes start digging trenches along property lines, it's probably not a good idea. The neighbor to the west alerted us of it, because his drainage facility borders that property line, and, the grade should be restored to its original topography, so the existing system doesn't fail. And if they propose any site work, they have to incorporate it with their plan review here.
Well, does everybody agree we can't really act on this warehouse addition without somebody here?
It doesn't make sense to go through stuff without them here.
And I think if Mr.
Matt,
James
is
doesn't...
this building sprinkled, required to be sprinkled? Is the existing building sprinkled?
It is not, and I'll have to back into the particulars of how the building developed to the condition that it is right now.
I guess it just kind of seems odd to me that they're proposing a wood-framed addition, but
It's a wood frame structure on a concrete slab with a truss roof. It's 1,000 square feet mounted to the side of the existing warehouse area.
the existing warehouse is not wood-framed though, correct?
That's correct. I believe it's structural steel.
Well, why don't we do this? If Mr. James doesn't appear in the next 5 or 10 minutes, why don't we table this pending the action of the zoning board and set a date for when it would come back here? All right?
Can wait at least another 10 minutes for Mr. Jenkins.
So the zoning board would meet on June 9th and it would come back to us on June 15th?
Correct.
Okay.
I got a call today from their engineer, Lucas is engineer, and they're still waiting for approval from all the agencies. They don't have anything yet in writing. They've been going back and forth with design changes. So, I told them, I said, email's fine, I just need to see something from the authorities, so I said he hopes to have it.
Which agency?
Water, sewer, county, highway. And then we got the DOT sign off, they're fine with the full entrance. So,
I don't know if this is our copy or the applicant's, but
It's checked with the doors locked. They
my
can't
file,
get in.
so for the wall and everyone,
No,
we're
it's open.
using for everything.
The back one isn't, but that
So
one.
I'm not sure. Like we going inside.
So while we're waiting, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the conversation. While we're waiting, if you don't mind, I'd like to at least bring the board up to speed on some current events that are tripping me up. I've been speaking with the developer and owner of the 473 Aurora Street project. It was a mixed-use, multi-family facility at the corner of Aurora and William Street. They're attempting to build out their last unit. And again, because of the size of the facility that's being built out and being used for a real estate office, the parking lot counts are way out of whack. So I provided the non-compliance form for them to at least request relief for the parking. But it's been a negotiating back and forth that I just don't have the will or the ability to do that. So, he forced the issue today, and I responded to him and said, look, go get relief or go get an interpretation of what I counted for the parking. But the code is very clear. There's not enough parking for the building. And you may be familiar with the project. It went through several variances and a number of amendments to get it to fit on the space now. So it's just a
Is that the building where the pizza place is?
Leo's Pizza and the dry cleaner and, yeah.
And didn't they want to borrow spaces?
They did. Yeah, they were able to provide parking on the adjoining parcel, and they were able to take care of the agreements, and that was satisfied at the time. The stormwater agreement was actually just filed maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it was SBL numbers and some fine tunings that had happened. I'm thankful that that's complete. But more importantly, we have a 22-year-old site plan approval over on Erie Street that's been pretty stressful here for the town. And I brought it up during their town board session there, and it's been a repeated event for the 6 years that I've been here. There's a 4,000 square foot building on Erie Street. It was the first one to go up on that corner. And again, it was approved in 2000. The owner is adamant that he's just able to put up another 4,000 or 5,000 square foot building without amending his site plan. The place is a little bit of a disaster as it is right now. And I don't dare, kick the beehive and send them, to a court setting for the condition of the property, but it's coming, because we just can't have that.
Where is it on Erie?
495 Erie, where the cemetery road overpass is.
The first one on the corner, cemetery.
Third one on the corner.
Third one in.
The third one in, yeah.
Third
So
one.
the address is Erie?
495
Yeah.
Erie Street. This
So
is
it's
correct.
not the corner.
cemetery.
No, the one on cemetery was in there, the plumber in there, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
and he's a couple of doors out. But anyway, I'm trying to hold consistent with this individual and, I'll definitely service him. But, again, is clear. It's 22 years old. The resolution was for 4,000 square foot building,
One building.
one building. He's proposing the secondary. It's got to get in front of this board for review, making sure that it's compliant with all of today's standards, not the year 2000. There was some update on a lot on William Street that was created in 2018 year down by Schwartz Road. That turned into be a DEC violation of enforcement by mowing down, items within the wetland area. The representative of the former owner had requested whether or not he can give the current owner authorization to apply for a minor subdivision. So I would anticipate that application is going to come in front of this board as well. And then lastly, which is just to use up some time, because I don't think Lucas is going to respond to my email for his attendance. If necessary, I've got a lot of information on seeker and process and how to. I'd be happy to get that all to you. I'm sure it's going to be all reviewed for you. But for me, I always rely on that because one is a visual, and it gives me chapter and verse on how to classify these actions and take it through the process, just so that everybody's on the same page when we're explaining these things to the applicants, that they know where they are along the process of review. So I'll go ahead and do that again.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
I've got two quick things, as long as we've got time here. One is the lot size change for the residential lots. That was adopted Monday night.
Oh, was?
Yeah, so I don't know how long it takes to go through the Department of State. Usually not that long for code, but, so that's in place. Second thing is that there's been a fill permit application floating around for a couple weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks probably.
Please.
The lot, the corner of Cemetery and Pavement.
David and Nicker.
Pavement Nicker, sorry, yeah, Pavement and Nicker. Where the, yeah, the suspicious third lot. That was,
Oh, yeah, Tom Ferry.
yes,
The one
Yeah.
that's not being built.
correct. He applied for a fill permit. He's put a driveway in. From engineering's perspective, I went back and needed some more information, which they have supplied. But there's other issues out there on that lot.
Several.
Yeah, and when I got the information from his engineer, I just thought it was interesting that she says, let me know if this is sufficient, and she says she explained to Tom that when the house is purchased, regrading will be necessary. And I'm like, well, what house? So,
And, and the reality is this, the subdivision approvals were granted with conditions. The conditions have yet to be met, and I promise. Promise was broken, and now we're in an enforcement action. And it's been very uncommon for the town to stand firm by its requirements. I just get a lot of grief when I
Was that the one with the
Correct me if
drainage?
I'm wrong, though, that I'll say not we, but the board, some members of the board approved that as a 3-lot subdivision, but the third lot was not to be built on unless the town board gave approval for that to be built on.
correct. That needed to come back in front of this board. There needed to be deed restrictions filed on that lot, which had yet to be filed. So, again, we're moving forward in an enforcement action to get to that end.
Did you get the final grading that those 2 lots were actually built to meet the
There's
specs
still
of
some
the
issues there.
grading plan?
There's a temporary certificate of occupancy that has long expired. We're holding a deck permit application to the homeowner because the temporary CO has not been issued. The grading is incomplete. There's a driveway issued that, was too close to a property line. It's offset a swale. And again, I understand change orders during construction, but physically altering what was approved is a pretty big deal. It needs to be amended, re-vetted, and reapproved for construction. The little tweaks here and there are not that big of a deal, but substantial changes. And we have another one in town, it's a 4-lot subdivision. There's a 1-point-something acre pond that was excavated on one of the sites that lapsed into the other 2 parcels. Again, it's going to end up in an enforcement action, more than likely back in front of this board, and to get it vetted so that it could be amended, and we could follow through with the occupancy certificate. So, which is a day in the life.
Then there was the afternoon.
Pardon me?
Then there was the
And
afternoon.
then there's the afternoon.
Well, I'm going to make a motion to table Agenda Item 1, Broadway and Bowen Development, based on the fact that we expected to review in person the plans and also the issue of having to go back to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So somebody second it?
Sure, I'll second.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, so that one's tabled. Do we table it to a date or next meeting?
Table.
It will come back here June 6th or 15th, so
Okay.
you can,
May want to amend it to the 15th, so it's that specific date.
yeah.
What's the next planning board meeting?
Next one is June 1st, but the zoning board still has to reaffirm on the 8th.
Oh, so we should do the
Ninth.
15th?
Yep.
15th.
So why don't we table it to June 15th,
Yep.
7 PM? Well, it's 25 after 7. Mr. Blazak has not appeared, so I think we should also table 4401 Walden Avenue, the warehouse addition. Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll move.
Second?
I'll second.
Tony, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Should we push that to June 15th too, or the next meeting? June 1?
I wouldn't set it.
First,
June 1. Anybody else have anything else? Dave? Ed? Well, that's a record, without the chair, 25 minutes. So somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion, or meeting adjourned. Thanks very much. Yeah, really, wow. I spent the last 2 hours trying to prepare, and it was nothing.
You should call Neil and tell him you can handle this.
Yeah.
Give Neil a call and say, I can handle this, no problem.
I'm coming back.
Well, so if you do talk to him, send my best. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm in healthcare.
tomorrow,
If he
or
needs
tomorrow.
anything, he can reach out to me.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, Ed, when someone comes in for a fill permit, they have to give you plans, specs, distances,